So I don't know if it's properly termed fearful avoidant, or disorganized attachment, or what it is, but there's a logic that I operate under. There's I don't know how else to say it, and it's not like I study this out and act in accordance with something I work out in my mind so much. It just seems like it's woven into the fabric of reality. And anyway, the logic is that if I'm troubled or sad or distressed, then the first thing to do is to pull back, and the second is to start working on, like, if I have to be around people, to try to hide it, conceal as much as possible. About 8 years ago, I was going through I'll just say a hard time. It didn't make any sense. From the outside, it never does, and that's part of the reason why I mustn't bother people with the inner hard times I'm having, the inner turmoil. Like, why should I bother people that have their own problems, and what am I going to say to them? And like, isn't it disrespectful to tell them that I'm having inner turmoil when I've got externally, what do I have to complain about? And anyway, going through a hard time, and I was talking to some people that I talk to regularly at work, and somebody said, every time I see you, you're just so happy. I think you're really one of the happiest people I know. And so I felt really pleased that I had succeeded in presenting this impression of cheer. And if I can't appear cheerful, I can at least appear serene. And so that's it's not like that's important to me. That's just how it is. It's a logic that's seems immutable. It's like deep down. And so, like, the worse I feel, or the worse of a time I'm having, the less I am allowed to reach out and communicate with people. And it just won't do to ever impose on somebody with, like, it's hard to even put this into words, like wrapping my mind around oh look, there's Bridal Veil Falls, wrapping my mind around the concept of reaching out to somebody and making some kind of bid or request for their attention to comfort me. That feels like the absolute height of presumption, and it feels like wrong. Not too long ago, I watched a video by a young man who was talking about his experiences with schizophrenia. He's a faithful member of the church, and he has schizophrenia, and he had to deal with this experience where what he had experienced and taken for the voice of God was symptoms of his mental illness. And so it drew me once again to reflect on something that I heard somebody say in talking about, specifically about disorganized attachment. The read was, your nervous system is lying to you. And so intellectually, in my mind, I often return to this thought and this wondering, is my nervous system lying to me? Is my whole nervous system, is my whole, like, this deep foundational part of my worldview, is it false? Is it misleading? Like, should I actually contemplate reaching out to people sometimes when I feel distress, which is so often that would just make me unbearable. Like, how? So immediately it starts up these objections and thinking. It starts this debate, this controversy, this interior battle, and of course the thing to do is not bother other people while I'm figuring out. I can't bother other people to help me figure this out, partly because I that's specialized work, and that's something that is done by people who are trained, and that means that it costs. All right, can't afford the cost of engaging somebody to do that in a way that would be legitimate. So as for other people, do I not trust other people to really give the kind of attention? Some people, sometimes in some measure it's that I don't trust people to be able to give the kind of attention, and sometimes it's that I just really feel like I must not ask anybody to give up their time to go to that trouble. And I can hear, if somebody tells me, that's, if somebody says, but I want to take the time, I want to take the trouble, to go through the trouble, maybe this is what it's like to have some kind of addiction, or I don't know, if somebody's anorexic and you tell them you're not you're not fat, in fact you're skeletal, and you really ought to get back in balance, and you really ought to nourish your body. I see it, I think about it, and there's a layer that it still hasn't penetrated yet. And so what would it take for that to get through that layer and get down to affect my operating system, like this logic? That the problem is this logic, I don't think that it's entirely from early childhood trauma. In my mind, it's the result. It's like a conclusion, like a really solid conclusion, reached over years of evidence and a lot of observation. And the hell of it is that if people would come to me with woes and want to talk and share their troubles, then I would be happy to listen. And so one of the things that I think might have a chance of getting into it, like making a crack and widening it and sinking in and making a change, is criticizing my logic with this question of, well, what makes me so exceptional compared to everybody else, that I'm the one that has to hold myself to this standard of if I'm the one to reach out to people, then I'm going to be bothersome. But if other people do it, they're not going to be bothersome. So what makes me special in this regard? Like, isn't that kind of arrogant? And so I have to be careful with that, because then it's like, oh no, I've done something wrong, I'm sorry, let me retreat from everybody else in restitution for being so presumptuous, as to think that I was exceptional in this regard. So I've never been diagnosed with anything psychotic. I've never experienced like a normal kind of addiction or something, and I don't want to minimize or trivialize what people go through who go through those kinds of things. I don't want to unduly claim something that I don't deserve to claim. But sometimes I wonder if there's an affinity or a resemblance between conditions like that and whatever this is, if it's disorganized attachment or whatever it is. And I am this close to just deleting this video. It just is, it feels so wrong and presumptuous of me to have done this and to contemplate sharing it. And I'm going to count down from 3 and press stop, and then I'm going to upload it. 3, 2, 1.